Sam Houston State versus Western Kentucky. Give us your lowdown and your prediction, good sir.
This one actually may have been the hardest one for me to decide. Harder than the next game we're going to go over, which I won't spoil quite yet. Like this one, I was really torn between. And you may be like, Sam Houston State, don't they suck? Western Kentucky, didn't they get blanked by Alabama? Yes to Western Kentucky. No, Sam Houston State does not suck. They did last year. But these two teams are both 2-0 in Conference USA play. Sam Houston State only has one loss. And they also have a win over Texas State, who I had winning the Sun Belt. And Western Kentucky's only losses are, that shutout against Alabama and a 1
and these teams play tomorrow.
Boise State or Boston College. Yes, they play tomorrow. So early matchup. This is not a Saturday thing. They play.
And two
Wednesday.
Conference USA teams are playing right now: Kennesaw State and Middle Tennessee, and then it'll be New Mexico State and Louisiana Tech later on. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Disclaimer.
Yeah, I love having football on all night or all week. Really, it's a game every day. But both are coming. This is just kind of a funny stat. Both are coming off of 20+ point victories over UTEP. It's just, I believe Sam Houston State had a bye week in between, but both of them, their last game against UTEP, big victories. Who I'm looking at for this game are going to be the quarterbacks for different reasons, though. Caden Veldkamp, the quarterback for Western Kentucky, he's 6'6", 230, big guy. He's played well after being initially the backup behind TJ Finley, who was benched against Bama. And for being such a big quarterback, he's able to, use his arm, but he's surprisingly mobile. He's rushed in a few scores over the last few weeks. And the offense ranks 28th in passing offense nationally, which is pretty impressive, right? There are a lot of high-powered offenses. Western Kentucky is one of them. And so Veldkamp needs to be on his game and not turn the ball over. Last few weeks, he's had an interception in each game, and this win would be a signature win for him. They have, I think, a win over Toledo. I mentioned the one against that was Sam Houston State. But Western Kentucky, in Veldkamp, I like what he's able to do. I believe he was the quarterback who played in their bowl game last year as well and played very well. So Veldkamp, I like as a player, but I need to see him play a clean game, right? If you do that, you greatly increase your chances of winning here because you're able to move the ball so effectively, but you can't lose the ball when it matters most because Western Kentucky does struggle with their red zone offense, but they've only missed one field goal. So that tells me that there's a lot of turnovers or turnovers on downs in the red zone, which you just want to see that get cleaned up. Then on the other side, Hunter Watson is the quarterback for Sam Houston State, but he's not just a quarterback. He's also the leading rusher for the Bearkats. And in recent weeks, Western Kentucky has faced many quarterbacks who pose running threats. Skylar Locklear for UTEP and Tucker Gleason for Toledo. Gleason led the Rockets in rushing when they played Western Kentucky. So this is, Sam Houston State's been able to see some tape on, what can we do with a mobile quarterback that, can expose weaknesses in this Hilltopper defense. But they also played Jalen Milroe earlier in the season. Let's not forget that, but I'm not going to go out here and say something blasphemous. I'm not going to say Hunter Watson is at the same level as Milroe. Watson's good, but come on. There's levels to this.
Yep.
So trends so far say that Watson could have a big game against the Hilltoppers, especially with his legs. But then it gets tough because in the end, I do think Western Kentucky gets the win. It was, again, extremely hard to pick because of Watson's dual threat ability and Western Kentucky's play recently against rushing quarterbacks. But Western Kentucky also has one of the best red zone defenses in the country. I think they're fourth in scoring percentage in the red zone. So if they can keep Sam Houston State out of the end zone there and limit them to just field goals, make plays there, and Veldkamp has a good game or even just a pedestrian game, I can see them getting the win here. Again, this was a really tough one to pick, but I think that the red zone, the bend but don't break philosophy of this Western Kentucky defense, I think that's going to give them the edge against Sam Houston State. Again, two really good teams, But I think this will be a signature win for 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀 in Western Kentucky this year.
Yeah, man. You know, this one was very, very hard to pick because just looking at the schedule of like Sam Houston State, there's one game on here there's two games that stand out. Their loss to UCF. Is UCF a good team right now? No. Nope. Even though we like RJ Harvey.
They got clobbered by UCF.
Yep. And then you go into the other side of that. What's an attractive game? Winning 40-39 is definitely an attractive win for them. And, Watson's been playing out of his mind, but there are very good players on this team. And I'm going to tell you two games that can turn the freaking tide for this whole thing. Two of the best defensive players play on Sam Houston State in the country. And I'm willing to bet right now that I know a lot of people talk about Will Johnson, but there's a guy by the name of Caleb Weaver that's been playing out of his freaking mind. 4 passes defended, 3 interceptions, and he leads all DBs right now in total and solo tackles with 29. As a DB, as a corner.
That's impressive.
Let that sink in.
Not many corners lead their team in tackles.
Yeah. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀 Gaither another one playing linebacker for him, has 34 total tackles on the season. So one thing that they do well, and I always say it's as simple as this for a lot of teams. Teams that can tackle well win. They just do. And I mean, not to put the NFL in here, and I know you're an Eagles fan, but we see that from the Eagles from time to time again. They can't tackle, and they end up losing games that they shouldn't have lost. All right?
Yep.
It's as simple as that. But then I also look at Western Kentucky and what they've done, and their schedule is just as confusing. They lose against Boston College by 1 point, but they beat Toledo, right?
Yeah.
Who, by all regards, over the years has been the team to beat in the MAC, or at least the gatekeepers of that. Middle Tennessee is not a pushover team, but then they went against UTEP 44-17. But the one that you circle here, and the one that you say, I wonder if 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 was playing in that game, would have been not maximizing their, not saying that they're going to win that game, but the Alabama game for sure. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 has been playing his ass off. I mean, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And let's talk about the quarterbacks that were there before him, who were lighting things up before they went off to the NFL, right? So that's a lot to put on your shoulders. And TJ Finley was supposed to be the guy. And we all kind of predicted this. We were like, as many schools as this dude is transferred to, do we think it's going to be any different? And that's the one thing that we had said when we made our predictions. But we did not take into account that Caden 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 was going to come in and do what he has been doing.
Very true.
I also look at the defensive side of the ball for them as well. And they have a good DB, Anthony Johnson Jr., 2 pass defended, 1 interceptions right now. And these guys are a forced fumble machine with 4 on the year so far. So, but when I really look down at it, there's a battle that goes on with not only the running backs and what Western Kentucky has got. Do I think Caden 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 is better than Hunter Watson, or are they going to be able to shut him down? Then I started looking at completion percentages. Like, I'm starting to nitpick everything. 69.6% versus Hunter Watson's 59.1%. And is it because Caleb Weaver hasn't really played the best quarterbacks in the country? I mean, Jordan McLeod is good. Braden Shager is good. KJ Jefferson, you really start to wonder about the competition that he's played. And then you go over to the Hilltoppers side, beating Toledo, beating Boston College, beating UTEP, Middle Tennessee, and playing against Alabama. Now you're practicing against guys that have that experience. And that's what I think ultimately gave me the decision here is this team has experience playing against one of the best teams in the country and almost beating a team that was, I mean, Boston College, we thought were legit in the first 3 weeks. We thought they were going to be barn burners. And I think that's just going to put them over the top. I think Caden gives them the advantage to get the passes that downfield that, Sam Houston hasn't really defended against so far. Beating Hawaii doesn't have the best defense, but they have a good offense. I think with Western Kentucky, they kind of have a balance because of their offense. So they're not going to be able to put up the stats that you think that the same Houston guys are going to put up, right? So, I mean, we're taking out a whim here, but more so if you take away the stats, you look at the performances and you look at the teams that they've played, and I think Western Kentucky's experience, what they know that they need to do, and them making ballsy decisions like putting 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝘀𝗀𝘀 in there as their quarterback is what's ultimately going to determine a win for this game. But he has to be lights out. I think this is an overtime game tomorrow.
Whew. That would be nice.
It would be cool to watch, but I think this game is going in overtime tomorrow. So give me the Hilltoppers in this one, man. This was hard, but I had to come down to it.